Next on the news, Pope Francis calling for justice as Lebanon marks 2 years since a devastating port explosion. Also,
final verdict is 9 years of imprisonment.
A stiff sentence in Russia for American basketball star Brittney Griner, what it could mean for relations between the U.S. and Moscow. And
Bishop Brennan has invited all of the lay faithful, all of our priests, all of our deacons, our religious to be able to join us.
We speak with Father Alonzo Cox about the Mass to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the Cathedral Basilica of St. James in Brooklyn. Plus, the YMCA lifeguard whose quick thinking helped an expectant mother when she needed it the most. I'm Emily Druby in for Christine Persichetti. Currents News starts right now. The people of Lebanon walking together to remember a devastating attack on their country. Thursday, marking 2 years since a massive explosion tore apart a port in Beirut, killing more than 200 people. The people of Lebanon are still rallying for justice in that 2020 attack that tore apart so many families. And on this day of remembrance, Pope Francis addressed those who are still suffering.
Il mio pensiero va alle famiglie delle vittime di quel disastroso evento e al caro popolo libanese.
Prayers for the lives lost and altered by the Beirut blast. The Holy Father also adding this very pointed remark.
Prego affinché ciascuno possa essere consolato dalla fede, confortato dalla giustizia e dalla verità, che non può essere mai nascosta.
The country has been in a state of political turmoil following the blast in August of 2020. 2 years later, and their people still don't have answers. The judicial probe to charge several officials with criminal neglect over the improper storage of ammonium nitrate is still being blocked. Now, UN human rights experts are calling for an investigation. In a statement, they said, on the second anniversary of the blast, we are disheartened that people in Lebanon still await justice, and we call for an international investigation to be initiated without delay. But while the fight for information continues, the country still mourns. A remembrance event held at the port where the explosion occurred. The incident claimed over 200 lives and injured thousands more. This blast, the largest non-nuclear explosion in history, took out homes, businesses, and churches. Gregory Mansour, the Eparchy of St. Maron of Brooklyn, frequently travels back to Lebanon. He says, from all the devastation came a beautiful sight.
At the time of the explosion, the Lebanese Catholic institutions, mostly Maronite, were already running on fumes. And they went into debt, and they sacrificed themselves in serving Christians and Muslims alike. Like I'm talking about Catholic schools, Catholic hospitals, Catholic nursing homes, drug rehabilitation centers, aid for the poor. The Catholic institutions there were already, because of the economic downturn and the problems with the government corruption, but they rallied, and we outside rallied to consistently help them to stay open and to serve the poor. And they have, and I don't know how, it's really kind of miraculous.
Bishop Mansour also called the amount of aid that came from international communities in the wake of this devastation incredible. Out of the horrific blast has come some hope for the students of Lebanon. The Crystal El Adam Foundation was named and started in honor of one of the blast victims 6 months after the tragic event. And since its creation, they've awarded full scholarships to 120 students in Lebanon, as well as helped some 1,500 kids with their donations of books, notepads, pens, and other supplies to a dozen schools. You can donate to the foundation's cause at crystaleladamfoundation.org. That's crystaleladamfoundation.org. And now, an American basketball star sentenced in Russia.
She will serve her term from the day of the announcement of this verdict.
Brittney Griner found guilty of bringing drugs into the country.
This is a miscarriage of justice.
This as the U.S. and Russia relations are on the line. WNBA star Brittney Griner found guilty of drug smuggling by a Russian court. The Biden administration denouncing the sentence, saying she's been wrongfully detained. The U.S. even taking steps for a possible prisoner swap to ensure she's released. Chris Wynn looks at the verdict and what this could mean for U.S.-Russian relations going forward.
In Russia, WNBA star Brittney Griner was found guilty of drug smuggling and sentenced by a Russian court to 9 years of jail time.
This is a miscarriage of justice.
On February 17th, Russian prosecutors say the two-time Olympic gold medalist was arrested with less than 1 gram of cannabis oil in her luggage at a Moscow International Airport. Griner claims it was an honest mistake due to packing in a hurry, saying she had no intent to break any Russian laws.
You have the big picture of, the relations between Russia and the United States, which right now are abysmal.
President Joe Biden released a statement saying in part, Russia is wrongfully detaining Brittney. It's unacceptable, and I call on Russia to release her immediately so she can be with her wife, loved ones, friends, and teammates. American officials on the ground also reacting to the verdict.
I will continue to do everything to care for the safety and well-being of Ms. Griner and of all U.S. citizens detained in the Russian Federation.
The Biden administration has proposed a prisoner swap for Griner and U.S. citizen Paul Whelan, who was convicted of espionage in 2020, which he denies, in exchange for convicted Russian arms trafficker Victor Bout.
One of our true sports heroes. And it's really hard to look at this and see that person in that cage.
Griner's legal team said they will appeal the verdict, but analysts have raised concerns that she is being used as a political pawn in Russia's war against Ukraine. Chris Wynn, Currents News.
The aftermath of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's trip to Taiwan is being felt worldwide. Video from the Chinese military shows several missiles being launched from mainland China to live fire exercises close to Taiwan on Thursday. Beijing says the show of force was over Pelosi's controversial visit to the island. More than 20 of China's warplanes also crossed a line that was predetermined by Taiwan.
They're demonstrating that they don't recognize Taiwan's lines because they don't recognize Taiwan.
China previously warned that Pelosi's trip would strain relations with the U.S., but Pelosi says she made the journey to show America's support for Taiwan's democracy. A heat advisory is now in effect through Friday evening. The National Weather Service is warning New Yorkers to take precautions as hot and humid temperatures grip the tri-state area. The warning comes as the city's heat index could exceed 100 on Friday. The levels of heat and humidity are likely to drive up pressure on the city's electrical grid. Con Edison now urging residents to conserve energy in hopes of preventing outages. If you're having a hard time handling the heat, then you can head to a cooling center. Catholic Charities Brooklyn and Queens has set up several centers to help anyone looking to cool off. Just visit ccbq.org/senior-centers to find one near you, or call them at 718-722-6001. On Sunday, August 14th, the Diocese of Brooklyn will mark the 200th anniversary of the first Catholic church to be built on Long Island, the Cathedral Basilica of St. James. Here to tell us about the Jubilee celebration is Father Alonzo Cox, Director of Liturgy for the Diocese of Brooklyn. Welcome, Father.
Thank you so much, Emily. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And now, who's invited to this celebratory Mass, and what can we expect?
So we've invited all of the lay faithful of the diocese to come and to celebrate this milestone. 200 years of having this beautiful church here in our diocese, where so many wonderful and beautiful events have taken place. So Bishop Brennan has invited all of the lay faithful, all of our priests, all of our deacons, our religious, to be able to join us on Sunday, August 14th.
And I know that Cardinal Dolan might be attending too.
Cardinal Dolan will be the main celebrant and homilist for this Mass, and we're very excited.
That's so exciting. Now, St. James represents Brooklyn. It's full of history, ethnic communities, and most importantly, our faith. How will the celebration incorporate all of these aspects?
Well, we'll have an opportunity to really celebrate. The greatest celebration that we have as Catholics is the Eucharist. So we will gather around the table of the Lord thanking God for the gift of 200 years of being able to worship in this beautiful place of God's house, where so many wonderful milestones have taken place. So we'll have an opportunity to celebrate with our priests, with our deacons, and most especially with Cardinal Dolan and Bishop Brennan and Bishop DiMarzio. You know, all of our bishops will be able to be there as we thank God for the gift of this wonderful milestone.
And now St. James has a long history. It's evident in the generations that have lived out their faith inside the church walls, but extending just outside the church is a cemetery that dates back to 1822. What can you tell us about it and its interesting history?
It's amazing, you know, so right on the property there is the cemetery where many former parishioners are buried, where there are priests and religious who are buried there. And, you know, it's an opportunity to really celebrate the accomplishments that they have had on St. James. You know, many of them, you know, spent time in building that church and giving, you know, whatever they had to build St. James. And now, you know, they make their final resting place, this wonderful and beautiful cathedral.
Incredible, such a rich history there. Now on Sunday, August 14th, the same day of the anniversary celebration, Net TV is going to be airing a documentary on the Cathedral Basilica of St. James. We have a clip of that. Let's take a look right now.
We're really in the seat of Catholicism on Long Island. From Brooklyn to Montauk, the story of the Catholic Church really begins right here at St. James.
And the Pope responded by stopping the motorcade at St. James Church.
The past is part of us. It's the shoulders that we stand on.
It's a lesson in perseverance. And that's because of the dedication of so many people. We should never give up on the church.
The same Holy Spirit 200 years ago inspired a generation of people to want to build up the church. The same Holy Spirit works in the hearts of men and women today.
So exciting. I can't wait to see the whole documentary.
Very exciting.
Now, Father Alonzo Cox, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And again, Brooklyn Bishop Robert Brennan, along with New York Cardinal Timothy Dolan and the Diocese of Rockville Center's Bishop John Barres want you to come to the Mass. It'll be at the Cathedral Basilica of St. James on Sunday, August 14th at 2 p.m. Again, that's St. James' 200-year anniversary Mass will be Sunday, August 14th at 2 p.m. There's a lot more news headed your way. It was a tribute erected in honor of his friend who tragically died, and then this statue of the Virgin Mary disappeared. The incredible story of how it was found decades later in the Diocese of Brooklyn ahead. There may be talk of a recession on the horizon, but that's not affecting the travel industry. And also ahead, a lifeguard diving in to make a rescue of a different kind at the YMCA. Details ahead. It's a story of a statue lost for 50 years that has now been found. Back in 1967, 15-year-old Victor Grant died tragically during summer camp. He was a devout Catholic and altar boy. Following his death, the Sisters of St. Joseph at St. Agnes Catholic School in Carroll Gardens were there for Victor's mom, Miss Grant, finding her a job and teaching her how to drive. And to show her gratitude, the mother gave them a gift, this statue. But that statue soon went missing. For 5 decades, pastors came and went at St. Agnes Church, and Victor's friend Bill Gorman kept asking if he could search for it, until one day that answer was yes. And Bill Gorman joins us now to tell us about this lifelong search and how the statue was discovered. Bill?
Well, just recently the parish convent building was sold. And I said to one of our priests now, Father Alex, you think we could get to the basement and look? I always thought it might be there. Yeah. And there it was. A little disappointing when we saw it, but it was there. So that was a great thing. What did it feel like when you saw that statue for the first time? You've been looking for it for so long. It felt fantastic because it was a big room and it was on the other side of the room. So until we got on top of it, you couldn't tell the condition that it was in. So that initial thing was just like, oh, finally, I knew it would be here. You know, I always had a feeling it would be there.
And we just kind of explained a little bit about why it's such an important statue, but can you tell me further about what your friendship was like with Victor, what it was like to lose him, and what it was like to see the nuns treat his mother with so much kindness?
You know, Victor and I were both altar boys. He was a year older than me, but we went to the same grammar school. And what I remember, I guess, more is the time after his death. At 14, you're not thinking, and certainly that had an effect of a peer dying. But more, I do remember Mrs. Grant and how the sisters reached out to her, and she was extremely grateful for that. And they really, I think, as I look back now, got her through it. You know, the loss of her only child.
I mean, it's incredible. It's an incredible story, and it's incredible to hear that it's affecting you so many years later. You talk about it with this passion. Like, it really clearly affected you to see this.
It did, and I guess that's why I was so upset when it was gone, because I just kind of thought this was her, Mrs. Grant's memorial to her son and her thank you to the sisters. And it had to be removed. There was, you know, because of circumstances. But I just felt they couldn't have thrown that away. I was young then. I really didn't follow it at the time. You know, life goes on. You get married, raise children, go to work every day. It was always in the back of my mind. And it was just great. It was a great feeling to find it.
Absolutely. That makes sense. Now, what are the plans going forward with this statue? Will they be able to repair the damaged parts? Are they going to put it back out? What's the plan here?
Well, from what Father Paul and Father Alex tell me, the diocese has said it can't be repaired. So graciously, our current priests have said they would replace it. They are in the process of planning what's a Mary garden on the side garden of the church, and they will place a statue there, and it will have Victor's name on it. Most likely, it's not going to be the same statue.
Will it be an exact replica? Is that
Father Alex has mentioned something about knowing people who do laser reproduction, so I don't know yet, but I'm just thankful to them that they're going to just, you know, have his name out there again and the memory of what went on.
Is the statue incredibly damaged? I know we can see a little bit of an image of it back here, but what makes it so that it's past repair?
It is decapitated, and the hands are missing. You know, I don't know what happened with that blue paint on the bottom, where that came from, but I don't know. I'm not a professional. It is concrete, and I think that's part of the problem.
And what does it feel like to you to know that your friend's statue is going to live on, a statue for your friend is going to live on? There's going to be a space for it. People can remember him. People can remember what the nuns did. You will have a place to go. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot. I mean, I'm a lifelong parishioner who lived right across from the school down the block from the church, and 3 generations before me. So it means a lot for me, and as a history person, that's my background, to preserve those kind of things and pass them on, I think is very important.
Bill Gorman from what is now St. Paul and St. Agnes Parish, thank you so much for being with us today and for sharing
to share the story.
Yeah, it's incredible. Thank you so much.
Okay.
To contribute to the new statue, just send a check with Victor Grant's statue in the memo to the Rectory of St. Paul and St. Agnes Parish. That's at 234 Congress Street in Brooklyn, zip code 11201. In response to a flood of air travel service complaints, the Department of Transportation has proposed new rules to help air travelers who are seeking fare refunds. If enacted, the rules would require airlines to give refunds if the departure or arrival time changes by at least 3 hours for domestic flights or by at least 6 hours for an international one. The current rules do require airlines to offer refunds to passengers whose flights are canceled or significantly changed, but it doesn't clarify yet what a significant change means. An epic number of travelers are ready for takeoff following a pandemic pause. Airlines and airports worldwide are grappling to meet the demand. But are recession fears and soaring inflation impacting that travel boom as consumers weigh airfare, hotel, and gas prices? Jen Sullivan has the details.
As the peak summer travel season winds down, travel experts say Americans are still spending money on their vacations, despite historic inflation and recession fears.
While consumers are starting to pull back on some discretionary spending, some things they don't have to spend money on, it's not holding true for travel.
Several travel industry leaders say demand is still high. Scott Kays, founder of the flight aggregator website Scott's Cheap Flights, points to several factors, including a rise in credit card travel spending.
American Express noted that travel spending was up nearly 150% in the previous quarter.
That's despite fears of an economic downturn on the horizon. Experts blame that on so-called revenge travel, the huge travel boom following years of lost vacations during a pandemic slump. Meanwhile, Airbnb says reservations are soaring. On Tuesday, the company announced a 24% increase in bookings in the 3 months that ended in June, compared to the same time period in 2019. And when it comes to hitting the road, gas prices are declining. On Wednesday, the U.S. national average price of a gallon of regular gas was $4.16, according to AAA. Compared to a month ago, that was $4.81. And experts say cheaper prices are ahead.
While motorists may be incentivized by prices that have been falling, more decreases lie ahead.
I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
Still to come on Currents News, it was time for summer camp at the Vatican. Next, how Pope Francis welcomed the new children to the program. And she's a true lifesaver, how a lifeguard at a YMCA helped an expectant mother when she needed it most. Pope Francis concluded his general audience Wednesday by giving a special shout out to the children participating in the Vatican's summer camp. Inspired by Roald Dahl's Big Friendly Giant, the theme for this year's camp is Giant Dreams. The 5-week program teaching children to not be afraid to do big things. This is just the 3rd time the Vatican has offered the camp, and it's only available to the children of Vatican employees. She's a lifeguard at a YMCA in Colorado who responded to a different kind of emergency while she was on duty. She miraculously helped an expectant mother deliver her baby. Jason Grunauer has the story.
Pretty calm day usually.
At least that's what 18-year-old lifeguard Natalie Lucas was expecting.
Thought, oh, we'll go for a swim, it'll be nice and cool.
Expecting mother Tessa Ryder, 9 months pregnant when she got in the pool at the YMCA in Longmont, didn't last in the pool long.
Then it like suddenly dawned on me that we were not making it to the hospital and he was coming out right then and there.
The husband tells me that they're having the baby right now, and I'm like, all right. Sounds good. The adrenaline kind of kicks in right then and there.
Natalie called for someone to call 911, grabbed a medical bag and towels, and was right there with the couple as Tessa pushed.
She was there to do anything that we asked, and the first thing that I could think was, yeah, could somebody hold my back up? And that was exactly what she did, and it was perfect.
The baby was kind of already coming out, and it was a quick, I would almost say less than like 5 minutes that it all kind of happened.
Baby Tobin was born, happy and healthy, on the pool deck of the Y.
Without her, I would not have been able to safely focus my attention on making sure that, Tobin came out and he was safe and healthy.
Complete with a thumbs up from a lifeguard, just there to help.
I stayed calm and I helped them through from beginning to end of what all happened that Sunday. And so it was definitely quite a crazy thing to happen, but I'm pretty proud of myself.
Yeah, they weren't specifically trained for this very specific thing, right? But they knew how to be there for you.
Hi.
Natalie is off to college in the fall with an experience she wasn't expecting, but one that she'll never forget.
I do hope to send the little guy birthday cards here and there.
As for baby Tobin, well, he gets a lifetime membership to the Y.
It's definitely going to be a swimmer.
Probably.
That was Jason Grunauer reporting. The YMCA of Northern Colorado shared a special message to Lucas on social media, noting that delivering a baby during her Sunday shift was something surely not covered in the job description. And that is Currents News. I'm Emily Drewby. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.